You might have been watching Bluey for a long time, but you haven't noticed these mistakes. Don't worry, because in today's video we're going to show you some of the mistakes that we've found. Like in the episode Rug Island, Bluey and Bingo pretend that they are living on a desert island in the back garden, and they discover Bandit washed up on the beach. Bandit needs to embrace his inner kid if he wants to make Bingo and Bluey's Rug Island his home. In the end part of the episode, Bandit returns to his home from the pretend island. When Bandit is watching the girls from his house, you can notice that there's a tree in the background. But in the next scene, the tree disappears. Earlier, we could clearly see that there was a tree there. Even weirdly, after disappearing, moments later, the tree reappears. It seems like the tree is playing hide and seek. In the episode Shadowlands, we can see Bluey, Snickers, and Coco playing together in the park. And in one of the scenes where they are talking with each other, we can notice that Coco has 2 eyelashes on the side of her eye. But seconds later, there's only 1 eyelash. But again, moments later, she has 2. In the episode Cinema, when Bandit, Bluey, and Bingo are buying popcorn and tickets, we can see many movie posters on the cinema wall. Notice that the wall is red, but later in the episode, when they are watching the movie and step out to buy more popcorn, the wall has now turned purple, just like the rest of the cinema walls. And you might be thinking that they are in different part of the cinema, but that can't be possible, unless the cinema employee who served them initially has a twin brother who also works there. Another mistake also occurs in the same episode. Remember when we mentioned the movie posters hanging on the wall? In the first scene, when the wall was still red, there were 2 movie posters. One seems to resemble the Mario Brothers game with a canine version of Princess Peach, and the other seems to be a romantic movie. But in the second scene, when the wall has turned purple, there are 2 different movie posters, one featuring a little bee, and the other appearing to be a detective movie. And again, you might say that this proves that they are in different parts of the cinema. Well, pay attention to the next mistake, because it'll prove that both times they were in the same area. In both popcorn buying scenes, you can see the same fridge with green bottles on top and yellow bottles on the bottom, and the same sign that says $4 on the top shelf. The mistake is that in the second appearance of the fridge, there's also a $4 sign inside the fridge, but in the first appearance of the fridge at the cinema, you can see the external sign on top, but none inside. Another interesting mistake happens in the episode Dance Mode. When the healers are in line at the post office, you can see another dog behind them holding a letter. But something very strange happens when Bingo activates one of her dance modes. If you look closely, you'll notice that the letter in the dog's hand disappears and moves up and forward, only to return to his hand moments later. In the episode Facey Talk, Bluey, Bingo, Socks, and Muffin are having a video chat with each other. And also, while they are chatting, they are also drawing. But later in the episode, Stripe wants his phone back, but Muffin refuses to give it. And Stripe starts chasing Muffin, who is running with his phone. And all this is happening while the video call is still going. Later in the episode, the phone accidentally slips out of Muffin's hand and goes flying through the balcony. But wait, look here. When the phone goes flying into the air, the video call is still going on. But through the camera, we can see that the balcony is empty, meaning there's no one there. But looking through Muffin's camera, we can see that Muffin, Stripe, and Trixie are on the balcony. Now, this is a weird mistake. In the episode Phones, Bluey and Bingo are eager to play restaurants with Grandpa Mort, but they have a modern twist in mind. They're going to need an app to place their orders. When Grandpa Mort arrives for dinner, he's surprised to find out that the taxi fare has already been paid through the app. Inside, the kids introduce Grandad to their makeshift phone made of cardboard, explaining how to doot the app to order food without actually going to the restaurant. As Grandad joins in the fun under the makeshift tent, surrounded by various objects, you'll notice something if you pay close attention to the frames. You'll spot a green crocodile toy, mysteriously appearing and disappearing inside the box nearby. It seems like Bluey's animators have a really hard time with animating characters' fur, and this time, the error has to do with Bingo. In the episode Wagon Ride, Bandit brings Bluey and Bingo on a wagon ride to the park, and Bluey is keen to try the monkey bars. But Bluey's patience is tested when Bandit continues to stop and chat with other grown-ups. And when Bandit meets Chloe's mum, we can see that Bingo gets out of the wagon. But while she is getting off the wagon, the fur on her back glitches. The fur behind Bingo's head becomes the same color as the fur on her back. In the episode Bus, Bluey and Bingo are pretending to be Old Granny. And when they enter Bandit's imaginary bus, Bingo throws a few coins at Bandit. If we look closely, we can see that there are 7 coins on the ground, but moments later, there are only 6 coins. One of the coins disappeared. Unless Bingo sneakily took back 1 coin, this is an animation error. If you have watched Bluey since the beginning, then you would know that during the initial days of the series, Bluey and Bingo shared the same room with each of the sisters, having their own bed. One detail that always caught our attention on their beds is that each one has the letter B carved on the back, as it's the first letter of each of the 2 girls' names. On Bluey's bed, the B is uppercase as she's the older sister, and on Bingo's bed, the B is lowercase, even when they slept in separate rooms, and you can see the difference. But in the episode Weekend, something very weird happens when the parents put the girls to bed. Right at the end of the episode, we see that the B on Bingo's bed magically changes from a lowercase b to an uppercase B. In the episode The Beach, when Bluey is exploring the beach by herself, she meets a pelican. And when we zoom into the pelican, we see an animation error. If you look at the pelican's eyes, we see Bluey with her mouth open. And you may ask, why is that an error? Well, look, now it's closed. That's not normal. That's a mistake. This is a continuity error. Maybe it's not the visuals, but this is a continuity error. The mouth is open. You go to the next scene, mouth is closed. In our previous video, we mentioned a mistake in the episode Takeaway. And now let's go back to that episode again. When Bandit goes into the restaurant to check if the food is ready, the girls keep playing outside as if they're in their own restaurant. The mistake is that at a certain point, Bingo eats the spicy food that was left there by Bandit, and when Bandit returns outside, Bingo spits the burning food from her mouth onto poor Bandit's face. Note that when she does this, Bandit turns his face to the side, and we can see that both sides of his face get dirty. Then he wipes his face with his arm, and now his face is completely clean. But how is that possible, when between the 2 sides of his face, there's a snout preventing him from wiping both sides of his face? If you think about it, you'll realize it really doesn't make sense. In the episode Space, we learn that Mackenzie has a childhood trauma, thinking that his family, especially his mother, had left him at the playground. With help from Calypso, he overcomes this fear. But amid this super emotional story, we spot a mistake. It happens when Jack and Rusty take their friend back to his spaceship. Notice that everything is normal except for Mackenzie. His eyebrows have simply disappeared. If you watch the episode, you'll see that his eyebrows are always there, except in that scene. So, these were some errors that we spotted in Bluey. And as always, we'll see you all in the next video.